Dahlgren states that news is a tool that must provide people with informative material that should help them make sense of the world and fulfill their roles as citizens. This is a point that must be recognized in relation to the statement, everybody knows that young people don't engage with the news anymore. The informative tool of news can no longer be classified as just stories on pieces of paper, or a 30-minute segment of the same material read out by TV presenters. Therefore, we can now look at entertainment forms of media as tools that may inform, educate, and encourage discussion much in the same way that traditional news forms do. Whilst commentators observe trends that indicate that this generation of a youth is a generation which rejects news, as Sternberg states, they continually discard other sources in the entertainment genre of television that can blend the characteristics of popular entertainment and informative programming. One such program to discuss is The Chaser's War on Everything. The Chaser provided an audience with a different way to engage with news, rather than through boring or traditional news forms, by producing a segment that satirized recent events and news. The program informed the public about complex news issues in an interactive way, subsequently making it easier to engage with. Along with this informative basis came the encouragement of open discussion in the public. I remember at the peak of The Chaser's pro, how my friends and I would eagerly await next week's show, meanwhile discussing our thoughts and opinions on the events that The Chaser had addressed. Is this not the point of news? To encourage discussion and to also inform? And while some would discard The Chaser's War on Everything as entertaining trash, it has succeeded in doing something that traditional news forms could not, engaging the youth. Fisk states a need for the relevance of news, and that relevance requires connections between the text and the reader that precedes it. It is conceivable, then, that unconventional sources as news, such as The Chaser's War on Everything, are engaging the youth through more relevant platforms than those of traditional news. Mindich states in his article that the evidence for the long-term decline in news interest is overwhelming. However, Harrington states in his report, it is not that young people are switching off the news, but are instead switching over to forms that are more interesting and relevant to them. We have also now acquired new technologies for distributing and producing news that were not available in previous decades. The introduction of online media such as Facebook, MySpace, and blogging has also given youth culture a more easily accessible and relevant way to engage with news. These platforms directly engage the consumer's interest and also provide a forum for open discussion and opinion. So I ask, have we been too narrow in our definition of news? The answer, I believe, is simple. No. News must simply be able to both engage and inform, something that these unconventional modern forms of media, previously discussed, achieve easily. Conversely, it is something which traditional forms of news continually struggle to achieve.